Check 1 1 1 1.
Check. Hello.
First guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All right. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2. September 9th, 2024. Fresh edition of First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
It's on a Monday. Time to wake up.
Man. Where's that Sherman Wells? That's what I need. That wake up.
Hey.
That pick me up.
Right, we can do that right now.
Yeah. Go ahead. Oh. Wake up.
Yeah. Brother Wells on the mic.
Wake up.
Hey.
All right. It might have to be the official song. I better talk to Brother Wells about it.
Man, get you to wake up. Gotta wake up.
Waking on up on a Monday morning. Thanks for joining us again. September 9th, 2024. Fresh edition of First Guy Omaha in the morning. Man, lots happening over the weekend, but we're coming in a little bit early before we start the show at 7 o'clock, just so we can get the hellos and how you doings in place.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everybody getting up. I see Sue Kessler-Hagen giving us a good morning all. Appreciate you. Pop says good Monday morning and mad love from Las Vegas. Appreciate you, Pops. Marla Harrison gives us a good morning, First Sky family. And Leah Keister says happy marvelous Monday. Appreciate that very much. Thanks for coming in early. How was your weekend? How was your week? Lots going on. Lots happened over the weekend for sure. So I'd love to hear about it. You can put it in the chat, put it in Friends of First Sky Omaha at all times. And let us know. There was a lot of rallies, a lot of the Omaha fam getting together for a lot of things.
Man,
everything from rallying for justice for Brother Cameron, all the way to Husker football victories.
Man,
So, it felt like the fam was outside in a big way this weekend. So let us know if you were parts of any of that. And we'll definitely talk about it. Of course, this is Monday, so we're gonna have the senators on, Senator Wayne, Senator McKinney. Coming on talking about a few things, namely some of these things that's been happening here around town with Don Klein. That's been on everybody's mind. Yeah, man.
Did you make it to any of that? Any of the marches? Any of the protests?
I didn't make. I made. I went by Saturday to get a little teeny bit of footage, but didn't really get a chance to kind of stop in and stay and hear the speeches. That's the thing.
Man.
So it looked like the NAACP and Urban League, thanks to Sherman Wells, kind of got not called out, but like we're gonna go down there and see what they got to say about this stuff that's happening. And it looks like the brothers from at least NAACP. I didn't get a chance to stop and hear that, but it was on the news. So shout out to the coverage that just happened over this situation too.
Yeah.
That I saw KMTV out there, of course, doing the good work. So there's a lot of footage and a lot of stuff going on. We'll definitely take a look at that. But yeah, man, it was it was thick out here on the real way. Kimmer Snipes says I went to the press conference and rally protest. Cameron's aunt invited me out. That's what
okay.
Close knit situation going on here with this, So she says good morning as well. Good morning to you. Thanks for coming in. Marlon Harrison says I know a lot of people who lost a lot of money after the Nebraska football.
Well, yeah, people placing those bets.
Man. Kimmer says, I messaged the NAACP early Friday morning asking a bunch of questions. I have to show you my text messages. Okay.
More importantly, did you get any answers?
That's the question.
Yeah. Did you hear anything back? Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah. So, as you can see, lots to talk about. Like I said, we're going to start up our 7 o'clock broadcast and really kind of dive into the news. But in the meantime, how y'all doing? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. What's new with you? What's going on? I'm all right. Had a friend come visit over the weekend, so kind of spent some time with him. Met his family and things like that.
That's the homeboy from San Francisco. Yeah.
Man. Dope artist. My man A Rivera is an artist from Puerto Rico. Actually, he's currently out in San Francisco doing some art. Man, I'm had to share some of his work on Friends of, so y'all can see. Like he's Basquiat level. Like dude is
Yeah, big
nice.
time. Big
Dude
time.
is nice. Paul, you seen the art? Like,
Man.
am I exaggerating?
Nah. This cat. We got a bunch of footage from that San Francisco trip because like we got to make it right. We got to put something right together for him because that cat, he's legendary.
Man, yeah, and went to another legendary artist show, the legendary Maya Bailey, who's a black artist out of Atlanta, world-renowned tattooist. He just released some new work. So yeah. If
That's what's up.
anybody's into the art, especially contemporary, modern artists doing it on that level, check these guys out.
Yeah, man.
It's,
Giving their
it's
flowers while they around.
man, you know what I'm saying? Don't want to wait till, the Basquiats and the, all the artists are gone. Like you said, give them the flowers, let it still smell them, man.
Yeah, for sure. Maggie Miller Jenkins says, "Good morning. It was a dark weekend in Lincoln."
Oh,
Tell us about
why? Yeah, what was going on? What's
it.
going
Yeah.
on?
Kimmer Snipe says, Bowie, the executive director of Spark CDI, is trying to get me to connect him with you all. I reached out to Buddy. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth. She kind of tipped me off, so I definitely reach out. Definitely want to get more in touch with Spark CDI, and we kind of had some of the Fabric Lab fam on, but definitely want to learn more about what Spark CDI has going on. I think it's bigger than I think the Fabric Lab is just one part of it. So definitely would love to learn more. So yeah, if you can help connect that dot, that'd be appreciated.
Yep. Anybody go to the poetry event over the weekend? It was huge. Yeah, big deal out here as well. Like I said, it felt like everybody was outside, man. All the different groups, people that wouldn't go to the Husker game, maybe was like out doing stuff like the poetry show, and
it was still some Husker love in there. Jules, her father, of course, is Johnny the Jet, one of the most famous Huskers.
Yeah, she put a post out that was like, for those of you that got Husker fever or something like that. Just remember, there's a poetry show happening.
Man,
okay, that's what's up.
Yeah. I saw she posted. She said that she had she did not notice that she had booked the event at the same time as the game. It was like but yeah, it seemed like people still showed out in a real way. So big shout out.
Man, everybody don't be watching Husker football. I'm just saying.
Yeah, did you?
It was hard. It was
really.
It was kind of hard to not get caught up in the hype. Everybody was out at it. I was almost mad I didn't go to the game. It was like everybody was out at it. So and then of everybody's, of course, the whole town is super high for a couple different reasons. The Husker won, the Huskers won, and the weather has been beautiful. So people could be kind of losing their minds. Although some stuff still going on. Like Maggie Miller Jenkins is saying, she says a woman was shot in the parking lot across from my house. 2 shot downtown. 1 died. 16-year-old run over, stabbings and fights in the rail yard.
All this in Lincoln.
Shootings shootings and stuff happen in Omaha too. Like that's the other bad thing that happens when the weather's nice.
Yeah. People get out and get to acting crazy.
She said, got so bad we ran out of ambulances for a while. Man.
Really? Man, that's
rough. Like I said, we was outside. We was outside. Everybody.
I guess for better and worse. Huh?
Right. Well, appreciate everybody coming in for the hellos and how you doing this morning. Yeah, lots to talk about. Still really heavy subjects in Omaha, of course, and we'll have the senators come in and weigh in on some things. It feels like Freedom Summer again. Don Klein back in everybody's conversation. Hot mess. So I will definitely jump in. And like I said, if you're just joining us, of course, Mondays is when we have the senators on. We got a confirmation from Senator McKinney, so hopefully Senator Wayne will come through as well. He did a statement to Don Klein too. You guys didn't see on Friends of First Sky Omaha. We'll definitely take a look and dive in. So with that, it's 7:00. If you believe in the concept of time, welcome. Fresh edition of First Sky Omaha in the morning. Happening now.
Don't touch nothing.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Get ready to chime in. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He is Buddy to God. And
Hey.
we are speaking with you, the chat chimers today, already coming on in. We appreciate it. Do us a favor, share the show on your page so we can get as many voices in as we can today and talk about some of the issues that's been going on here this past weekend and past week. A lot of stuff happening, as you can imagine. It seems like everybody was outside for one reason or another. So we'll definitely be diving in and talking about that. Also, this is Monday, which means that we'll be having our senators on, Senator Justin Wayne, Senator Terrell McKinney, and it'll be a good time for them to come to weigh in on a lot of the things that's happening here over the week, over the last couple of weeks, really, and especially over the weekend. So, thanks for coming. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll be in the news in this first hour. In the second hour, we'll have a lot more discussion, and so we encourage you to stick with us and stay through the second hour as well, where we can really get to some conversation and really kind of talk about some of this news that we're going to present here. That's the beauty of this show, is that we don't just disseminate the news, but we're here to discuss it and try to come to some conclusions about what it is we need to do to act because of those stories. So deep diving, we call it reading between the lines, and that's what we're going to do today as well. Speaking of which, if you don't know, we do have a newsletter that's out now.
Hey.
We encourage you guys to get with the newsletter. Um, it's improving and upgrading every week because this is a weekly newsletter called the Weekly Wrap, and we are taking feedback from you as well. You can also engage in conversation with it. You can always reach out through the newsletter as well. And there's also a survey there that we would love for you to hit that survey button if you're getting that newsletter, and let us know where you're getting your news from. I'm gonna go ahead and put the
Yeah.
link in the chat so make it easy. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and click that link and enter your email address, and let's speak through the newsletter. So appreciate that very much. And before we get going too, just want to give a shout out to Drunk Ship Coffee
Hey,
that
drunk shit.
man almost burned down this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, man. California fires had a family evacuating the hometown, San Bernardino Highland
Man.
area, and yeah, man. They had them hopping around. Shout out to Pops for that news. He called in and got some updates on what was going on. But yeah, man. Yeah, we might have been talking had a whole different conversation about drunk ship if the fire would have came another street or two over. So yeah, man,
Man.
shout out to the fam, Drunk Ship Coffee, family owned coffee company out of California that is sourcing beans from one farm in Ethiopia, which we figured out is the birthplace of coffee.
Yes,
And
sir.
nice, yes, man. Shout out to everybody who's already purchased Drunk Ship Coffee and their merch as well. Really appreciate that. I know some people already are like hooked, so they're like, man, I
Mm.
gotta order all the time. That's what's up. So
Hey.
yeah, man, shout out to them for supporting us as well, and everybody else who we've been talking to about support, and that's coming soon as well. Man, can't thank you enough. So with that said, we'll go ahead and jump into things. And like I said, appreciate everybody coming on in, buddy. What's the community news? What's happening today? What's
Yes,
going
sir.
on?
Yes, sir. Like to jump off with some community news, some shout outs, some things that may not make the general headlines, your channel sevens and channel sixes out there, but things that are important to us, especially in North Omaha. So definitely big shout out. We kind of alluded to it earlier in the what's ups, the early part of the show, but definitely want to give a special shout out to Jewel Rogers again, being recognized as the poet laureate of Nebraska, the state's poet, if you will, being selected and throwing an event to celebrate that and kind of get the energy going behind that. Let us know if you made it. Again, she did so happen to book it at the same time as the Nebraska game, which there's a lot of attention to that. We'll be talking about that here in a second. But it still looks like, again, a lot of people showed up and showed out and supported not just Jewel, but brother Johnny No Good, man. A lot of artists showing up and showing out and kind of doing what they do. So,
Tracy Shot, who's a supporter
man,
of First Guy. Yeah,
man, yeah,
yeah.
man. So several friends of First Sky, the fam, if you will, being represented in this and showing up to support the one and only, the incomparable Jewel Rogers, man. So I'm honored and happy to have been done some work with her in the past, and definitely excited to see what her future holds as a poet. And she's been doing a lot of work. If you remember, we actually had her on the show talking about some of the things going on with the Spencer Project's developmental project and the whole naming process of that. So she's been active in the community. But yeah, definitely looking forward to her getting back in her poet bag,
That's what
if
we
you
need.
will.
We need a community activist as the poet laureate. I like it.
Man of the state. Yeah, yeah. Definitely look forward to what work she has coming down the pipe. But also, as mentioned as well, a lot of people. Did you go to the Nebraska game? I mean, I'll be honest, man. I haven't been high on the Cornhuskers. I remember the days of Aaron Crouch. You know what I mean? The Heisman winner who come to our schools and things like that. And I'll be honest, it kind of feels like that energy is coming back surrounding Nebraska football. People trying to have been for years trying to relive the glory days of the '90s when Cornhuskers was winning left and right.
Mm.
Still one of the top four teams in NCAA history with the longest winning streak. One of the top four, I think, like 38 wins straight. They went, so definitely a dynasty. And people trying to get back to it, especially going up against Prime, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders coming to town and his boys on the field. So yeah,
Yeah.
show up. Did you show out?
Him and Bud Crawford hanging out on the field. A lot of footage we saw of that.
Yeah, yeah. Saw Bud Crawford out there, man. It actually was a lot of stars out there, man. Again, a lot of energy being pointed towards Nebraska football. So, we don't really talk about sports too much here, but let us know how you feel. Let us know what it's looking like. It was nice to see a couple Omaha natives, getting this national spotlight. So yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
here.
to me, that's what it was about. It's about that community, man. Like I said, it's hard. It was hard to deny when everybody is trying to find something positive to grab onto and have
Man,
some fun with for a minute, and it feel like the old days. Like a lot of people were saying, like this is the football. This is the Husker football. My dad used to tell me about.
that part, that
Yeah,
part, that
everybody's
part.
everybody's hype. So even though I'm personally not too big into sports and into football and stuff like that, I do see the value in what just happened over the weekend.
Oh
Does
yeah.
it raised the spirits of everybody in town, man, in the big ways. It's a crazy thing. So shout out to the community.
Yeah, big time, big time. Just having a champ to root for. You know what I'm saying? The kind of the same energy surrounding Bud Crawford and what he's doing. So to have the champ out there, still, yeah, that was nice. That was nice. So again, let us know if you went out to that. Also, let us know if you made it to any of the press conferences or rallies. Again, a lot of things happening in the community, especially surrounding the shooting death of unarmed. Let's put that out there, brother Cameron Ford. There are actually several rallies. There was an event on Saturday where there was some dance teams and a couple of people coming out to speak. So let us know if you made that event. And then also there was a press conference down on the Deuce. Several organizations and community organizers and activists coming together to kind of speak on the situation. Of course, we'll be talking about a little later on the headline as far as Don Klein's decision on this whole situation, whether or not to bring charges. We'll get into that. But definitely seems like the community is not going away quietly and not letting this kind of fall by the wayside, if you will, as you mentioned. A little of the Freedom Summer type energy, talking about the activity following the murder of George Floyd, and yet here we are again. Some people even calling for national headlines for this situation. So again, if you made it to any of the rallies on the Deuce or the marches or any of the events, let us know. Also, big shout out to Sherman Wells, posting a video down at AV Sorensen, continuing the fight for housing rights. That's going on, still educating those tenants, not just in OHA, which again, there were several evictions on that over the weekend. So, big shout out to those who are sharing that on Friends of First Sky on Facebook. But again, all tenants, not just public housing, but all tenants, you need to know your rights, especially in light of some of the events that have gone on, apartment complexes closing down due to unsafe living conditions and things like that. And that fight still goes on. And again, people not knowing that they have rights that they can stand on and kind of just letting whatever happened to them just happen rather than fighting. But you can fight. And big shout out to the Underwood Tenants Group for reminding us we can fight and teaching us how to fight. So definitely big shout out. Also wrapping this up, there is a parent tax credit that some individuals, definitely families with children, should look out for. Shout out to Miss Erica Felt sharing this with us on Friends of First Sky. Apparently, there's about $1,000 to $2,000 in tax credits again that families can apply for. And through our conversations with the senators, we have learned that millions and millions of dollars in tax credits go unclaimed every year. Something that again a lot of families could use, but just don't know about for some reason. So again, that's what we're here for, to spread the information. You see it on your screen, helping working families, helping working parents and families. Again, child care tax credit. I'm sure this is something that a lot of you with the babies at home can use. So yeah, look into that. Big shout out to Miss Erica Felt. And of course, I always check out Friends of First Sky Omaha for more updates and anything that we miss. It should be there. And if it's not, go ahead and post it. Again, we appreciate all the activity, everybody that's on there. Thank you. Call you our co-host for that reason. So yeah, that's our community updates. Again, if I missed anything, feel free to drop that into the chat. Actually, a few people jumping into the chat. Something jumping out to you, Paul?
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out to Michelle Moreno, who said I went to the meeting on Friday and the press conference on Saturday and rally. So she's
Okay.
out and about, definitely checking out what was going on with the rallies and press conferences and everything. Shout out to Sherman Wells and everybody
Yeah.
who was helping organize these rallies. And man, yeah, there was a lot of activity going on for sure. Also, in the chat, I saw that Kimmer says, to be honest, once Deshaun got up there at the rally, it felt less and less about Cameron and the family to me. So
Hmm.
some sentiment there about what's been going on there on that part. Anthony Rogers right in the chat says, we love our police, Omaha and NAACP later for that kind of language. I don't think that represents the sentiments of all black folks at all. Then he goes on to talk about the Dem Party again. That's what the Dem Party influence on petty bourgeois black leader led organizations right there. Okay. Yeah, this is
Hmm.
interesting that was kind of the rhetoric about I can see that a lot of people, from the speeches I heard too, kind of tiptoe around that situation a little bit,
Hmm.
yeah, we, just being careful about what they're saying about the cooperation with the police department and so on. But yeah, sometimes I don't feel like it represents what everybody's feeling about that. So she says, Michelle Moreno says, yes, shout out to everyone. So, yeah, appreciate the people that definitely went down. Cameron Snipes, Deshaun, who we had on the show at some point as well, too. I saw him
Yeah.
speaking there and everybody who put this on. So, yep.
Yeah, big shout out to not just those who put it on, but also those who showed up and supported. So again, we appreciate you, we love you, we thank you, and yeah, let's go ahead and dive into some of the news headlines because some of this stuff did make mainstream news headlines, and we do want to dive into what is being reported, how it's being reported, and of course, listen to what you have to say on these situations. Here in the second season or season 1B, kind of the second iteration of First Sky Omaha, if you will. We focus more on the conversation in the second hour. So if you have any long diatribes, maybe save it for the second hour. But again, if you have any input, especially to the stories as they're being reported, let your mind be free, let your voice be heard. Of course, dominating the headlines is several stories surrounding this whole Cameron Ford shooting death and situation. Of course, over the weekend, Don Klein releasing his statement and his opinion that apparently this was justified, that this shooting was legal. But of course, we still have several other legal processes. So definitely want to talk about the grand jury process. We'll be having Senator Terrell McKinney on later on in the show. And he mentioned actually that he's calling for a special prosecutor in this situation, trying to go around Don Klein altogether. So we'd definitely love to hear Senator McKinney's thoughts on that situation. But in light of Don Klein's decision, again, several people in the community are chiming up and saying that this is not justified in calling for more justice. There's actually a press conference that was down on the Deuce. If you want to see it, you can. A big shout out to those who shared it on Friends of First Sky Omaha. There's a video of that press conference. A lot of religious leaders, a lot of community organizations chiming up. Again, some of you I already mentioned you're not liking what you're hearing or kind of the tone from these organizations. I would definitely like to dive into some of that a little more. So definitely want to dive into that. Also, a conversation we had here on the show that's kind of brewing in the background, especially now that the special session is over. But this whole school voucher situation, several Supreme Court cases going on with the school voucher situation. Again, that debate still going on to the ballot in November, and that's definitely a conversation we might bring up in the second hour. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. A lot of people had a lot to say about the whole school voucher situation, and in light of the property tax debate that just went down. What's going on with our schools, especially OPS, one of the largest school districts in the state, and again, the most African Americans and Hispanic students, again, the most quote unquote students of color in the state. Again, what are your thoughts on what's going on with OPS and the funding behind that? Also, something that a lot of you homeowners have been talking about, and we haven't really dove into, but something you should be aware of. Again, a lot of people complaining about the sewer project, and it seems like MUD is launching yet another 10-year project, $157 million to replace Omaha's lead service lines. Again, lead remediation, something that we've been closely talking about and looking at. We have been in partnership with the city to kind of push their lead remediation project. We also spoke to Sister Leia of the Documenters program, who also has her own lead remediation testing project that's launching. So again, a lot of things happening in regards to lead and housing, also kind of reminding us of the history of redlining in North Omaha. So again, a lot to talk about with that situation, especially of you house owners. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. And finally, there's another clinic that's opening in North Omaha. A lot of people are happy about it, but I would like to talk about that. Again, not many hospitals. It seems like North Omaha gets nothing but clinics. What about hospitals? Full health situations. But definitely would love to hear your thoughts on that in the second hour and more. Again, as I mentioned, we will be having Senator Terrell McKinney later on in the show. Hopefully, we'll get a sighting from Senator Justin Wayne as well. But in the meantime, between time, glad to be here with all of you speaking. Again, let your mind be free, let your voice be heard. Feel free to jump into the chat. In the meantime, between time, Paul B.
Yo.
What's the word?
Man, I'm seeing the in the chat real quick. RG said, "Real surprised this hasn't hit the national airwaves yet."
Mm-hmm.
Actually has. I was going to drop an article in from ABC News on this. So
Okay.
this is this story about this no knock warrant, and trust me, it's definitely national news. We saw some stuff on it when it first happened, and ABC News has continued it on as well. Yeah, this is one of those ones. Everybody's like, oh, somebody call Ben Crump. We got to do something about this one as well. So there's going to be a lot more discussion on it as it comes out. This thing with Don Klein is huge as well and making the news. Definitely check out for it. Also, Marlon Harrison, he ain't pulling no punches this morning. He says, like I said in Friends of First Sky, Don Klein can go to the deepest, darkest depths of hell. He's trying to send him to Hades itself. Man. All right, Marlon Harrison fired up. Everybody really kind of feels like everybody really tired of this. This cat doing, basically, just coming out and for the person that's supposed to be looking into this with this grand jury and stuff, like, to already be saying what you're saying, you really making the situation super biased, unprofessional, ridiculous. Everybody's upset, and we'll definitely have to get in talking about it. Also, Kimmer Snipes says, if you have a daycare on your street, they will be starting those street first, and then there's a map to see where they are working. Talking about MUD, they're on my street right now.
Okay.
So work has begun there. So I appreciate the updates on that. Definitely would love to hear about it, street for street, neighborhood by neighborhood, and keep an eye on all those things. So appreciate that very much. We'll take a quick break and come right back and jump into some news. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, share the show, get as many people in on the conversation as we can, so we can have a good discussion today. And then also don't forget more discussion a little later on the second hour. If you guys hang with us, we can kind of dig a little deeper and go between the lines on a lot of the things that we are talking about today. So we'll take a quick break, come right back and jump in. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning. I'll be still got morning throat going on right now, but we're gonna push through. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, buddy to God, all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, and Monitoring Spirits. Thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate that very much. Love to jump in and see what's going on today. Like we were talking about before, if you just joining us, we start the news broadcast at 7 o'clock, but we did come on early this morning about 6:50, just so we can get some hellos and how you doing's out of the way for the First Sky fam, and be able to talk about what's going on. And we talked a lot about everybody being outside this past week.
Man.
Everybody's outside from good stuff to bad stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be talking about it. If you were, let us know. Put it in the chat, and also you can always put it in Friends of First Sky Omaha, which is where the conversation continues when we're not live. And so, yeah, appreciate everybody jumping in today. And let's go ahead and fire it up. What you feeling like? What's on the agenda, buddy?
Yeah, well, kind of anticipating that the camera 4 discussion will kind of dominate the show, so I definitely wanted to dive into the MUD situation, kind of get that out the way, if you will. And big shout out to Sister Kimra Snipes for giving us some information, tipping us off to what's going on with that. And I know a lot of you chat chimers have kind of chimed up about the whole sewer separation project. A lot of you kind of been complaining and saying how it's been impacting your bill and just inconveniencing your day-to-day lives. And it seems like there'll be more of the same with this. So definitely look out for that. Sister Camera tipping us off just how they're approaching that. Again, saying that if you have a daycare or live on the street with a daycare, they will be starting with your area first. Apparently, that includes Sister Camera, who says that they are on her street right now. And if they're on your street and you're just kind of trying to figure out what's going on, again, MUD has launched a new, actually 10-year plan. So this is not something that's going to pop up and go away. This will be something that residents will have to deal with for a few years. And it deals with the lead. Again, this is all about lead remediation, getting lead out of especially some of the most vulnerable neighborhoods. Let's just call it what it is, North and South Omaha, which has been deeply impacted by redlining. And make no mistake about it, this is a part of that long legacy as far as just the lack of healthy environment that those in these communities have had to deal with for several decades, and just now finally doing something about it. Again, copper lines being taken out and new copper lines, or excuse me, lead lines being taken out and new copper lines being put in. MUD plans to install at no charge to homeowners, so do keep that in mind, as a part initiative aimed at finding and replacing about 16,000 lead and unknown service lines in its territory. MUD serves more than 227,000 water accounts. The utilities detect, correct, and protect program, which is what they're calling it, is expected to take about a decade and cost about $157 million. The utility has already poured about $52 million in grants and loans from 3 different sources, enough to cover about 5 years of work, and will be seeking an additional funding in this project. But again, the big thing to remember that, one, this will take 10 years, so do expect inconvenience for some time. But again, there's no cost to homeowners. So again, no cost to homeowners. Work to replace the lines began in June, actually, and so far about 70 or more lines have been completed. That's according to a senior engineering technician with MUD. Also, a few were replaced earlier through a pilot program. Again, there's about 200 or more by years in that they will be finishing, and then about 1,200 or more annually after that. So a pretty aggressive plan. But yeah, let us know, is this something that you've been dealing with? Again, this is dealing with water lines as well. So you think about lead, water, mine definitely goes, especially to Flint, just immediately. But yeah, actually learning from Terrell McKinney, Senator Terrell McKinney, puts some respect in his name, that Omaha is one of those areas that, has a pretty questionable water supply. And I'm sure lead pipes have something to do with that. So again, let us know your thoughts. Are you a homeowner? Is this something that you're concerned about? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts first go to the fact that this we always need so much help, especially on the north side. We
Man,
we always need so much stuff like lead removal and a lot of infrastructure, and it seems like there's kind of no limit to the money that's being spent on infrastructure, which kind of makes me go, why, okay, all right, cool. They doing all this for
man.
us. I don't know. Like it seems to me like that's gonna it just goes for
Mm,
you gotta have some good infrastructure when you're ready to gentrify the situation.
okay,
So,
okay,
you know,
okay. Call it. I mean,
they
that's
find
how
the
I'm
money.
feeling.
They find the money when they got to deal with the stuff. So cool. I'm glad. Shout out. But same time, it just makes you go, okay, all right. We'll see what's happening. Kimber was saying she said she meant for the lead pipe removal, talking about they'll be on your street, so
Mhm.
not sewer separation. She said, "I'll be glad when they do it though, so my grandma's house can quit backing up in the basement every time it rains heavily." Well,
Man,
got a
man.
lot of that going on. Definitely, it's especially in North Omaha, which is the older part of Omaha.
Yep.
So in North and South. So just the fact that yeah, we it seems like the family's been dealing with stuff a long time, and it will be good when it gets fixed. So we'll see. Kimber says, I believe the city was federally mandated to do the CSO project.
Hmm.
Speaking of that kind of federal situation too, I can't. Every time we start talking about this, I start thinking super fund. That we're a super fund
Yeah,
area.
man.
That word, first time I ever heard that is when we were talking about this situation with the lead. We're a super fund site. So does that mean we get a lot of funds, super funds, to fix some of this stuff?
See
A
what you did there. See what you did there.
super amount of funds. So anyway, yeah. Anthony Rogers Wright is remembering. Don't hold your breath, y'all. Flint, Michigan, still has lead pipes and tainted water.
Man, man.
So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
have
But
they
not
have
just Flint.
have they moved into gentrifying Flint though?
Man, it's just you're reading my mind, man. Like the whole timing of this situation is very interesting. The fact that this will take 10 years, you just have to, it just begs the question, what will North Omaha look like in the next 10 years? We already know housing is a big issue as far as people trying to find housing in North Omaha. Um, We've talked about all the development that seems to be happening around North Omaha. Of course, with the Inland Port Authority, hopefully some things will make its way into North Omaha and this whole DED. Hopefully some funds will start. We'll start seeing the impact of those funds. But again, the airport, Tiff Alley was going on downtown with the
Yeah.
soccer stadium they're about to build. Changes to 16th Street. Again, a lot of things happening seemingly around North Omaha, and now we have this this infrastructure being finally changed. Just very, very interesting on the timing.
Marlon Harris is asking Kimmer, is that what they're doing in Florence? It's bad around Florence. Anthony Rogers Wright is saying super fund just means NPL or national party list. It means nothing in terms of allocation of funds. Okay,
Yeah.
it does seem like there's been a lot of when we got deemed the national, a super fund site when it comes to the lead. According to the city plan department, that there's a lot of funds that they're mandated now to fix this
Hmm.
lead situation, and so it seems like they got a lot of funds to be able to do that mandate, or maybe they had the funds all along. They're just reallocating them to do it now that they have a mandate to do it. So yeah, good question. Wanda Lewis in the chat. Good morning. Says homeowners has been paying for years through the sewer separation project. She's been talking about this for a couple years. We've been on air now saying that we need to be
Yeah.
paying attention to the sewer separation project. Says MUD collects the money on your water bill for the city. They don't need to collect anything additional from the people. Well, they are already getting the money. Already getting the money. She says, I can't see them double dipping. Can't see them double dipping.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so interesting. So yeah, there, this is that's something to consider as well. We're not even speaking on that. This especially like with the sewer separation project, fact that MUD has already been taking money out of your, that's part of your bill.
Yeah.
We've
Right.
been
Right.
paying for that. We've been paying for that. So that's another thought to me. Like this happens, this gets fixed in 10 years. What's Omaha gonna look like in 10 years? There's also gentrification and stuff going on as well. So are we paying for the infrastructure that we won't get a chance to
Mm.
to enjoy in the decade? So
Man. Yeah.
anyway,
As
yeah.
far as where the funding for this project, again, it's called the Detect, Correct, and Protect program. Say that 5 times fast. And apparently, the funds came from loans and grants. It is interesting to see how these projects are being paid for. Again, $157 million price tag attached to this. They are looking for other funding, so will we see that make its way to users' bills? I don't know. I don't know. So definitely something to look out for and be made aware of. And to the point of mandates and things like that, it does say in this article out of Omaha World Herald that a 2021 federal rule change tied to the recognition that there is no safe level of lead in drinking water require water utilities nationwide. So this is a national situation to replace all the lead service lines in their service areas, and that's according to MUD's vice president of customer experience. So again, this is tied to federal mandates, and this is something that, again, not just Nebraska, not just Omaha, but states across the nation are being asked and kind of forced to do.
Mm. Well, there you go. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's take a quick break right now. It's 7:30. If you believe in the concept of time, stick around. We have Senator Justin Wayne, Senator Terrell McKinney coming on a little bit later in the show, and more discussion in the second hour. Stick with us. We'll be right back. That last track I played, I forgot to give Pops a shout out. Pops got a new album coming out called Instrumentals 8. That's the Pops theme that we just played was on. So shout out to him for keeping on with the releases, man. That's what's up. Go to his page, Paul B. Allen 3, and go ahead and check his releases out as well. He's doing it big. So shout out to Pops for that, and shout out, thanks for sending us the track to use on the breaks. Stay tuned again. We'll be right back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
I'm Paul B. He's Buddy the God. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Yep. Thanks for joining us again. Appreciate you coming onto the show so early. Do us a favor and share the show with as many people as you can on your page so that we can get as many voices in as possible, because we're going to have to be diving into some serious discussion, bro. Justice for Cameron has been on everybody's minds and hearts in a big way, and not just minds and heart, but the feet. Action.
Man.
Boots to the roots. It's been happening. So let's go ahead and dive into the next stories in anticipation of our special guests coming on in pretty soon. And yes, get your comments ready. We'd love to hear them, and love to. And if you stick around past the 8:00 hour, more discussion to come, buddy. Where's the entry point on this one for us today?
Well, the entry point is the latest update, the news, the Don Klein decision. That's since we last spoke. Again, last time we were on air, we were kind of responding to the police conference, the press conference, the release of the body cam footage. The family being able to see that footage, and now this case, the situation is making its way through the legal process and has now made it, to the county attorney's desk. Old Don Klein had his opportunity to kind of speak on the situation, and a lot of people, not surprised, but not happy. Again, this is according to KETV7 being reported. Douglas County Attorney Don Klein said the use of deadly force by an Omaha officer was legal after reviewing the evidence on August 28th. Again, a no-knock search warrant was being served for the victim, 37-year-old Cameron Ford, for narcotics and a weapon at a residence near 78th and Reddick Streets. Omaha police said it was a no-knock search warrant for an illegal narcotics distribution investigation. Authorities said an officer was identified as Officer Adam Vale, discharged a firearm during the encounter. We kind of know the situation, but again, the big news, people responding to Don Klein saying that Ford did not respond to any of the 24 or to 26 verbal commands. He says police officers search warrant that officers gave after entering the residence. Klein said that Vale told investigators that the officer fired one shot in fear of his life at the time of the shooting. Ford was 5 feet away from Vale at the time of the shooting. That's according to Klein himself. Douglas County attorneys also said officers were in the home for at least 12 seconds before Vale opened fire. On Thursday, Klein gave a review of the evidence and said his office has found the use of deadly force by Vale was legal based on Nebraska law and evidence. However, there was again a press conference, several individuals in the community, religious leaders, community organizers, saying that this is not justified, and calling out Don Klein, actually saying that he made his decision before really any real investigation was completed, which kind of seems par for the course for Don Klein and the decisions that he has made in the past. But again, before we kind of dive into the rallies and what the community is saying, Paul, chat chimers, what say you?
Yeah. Good question. Anthony Rogers Wright had a comment up a little earlier that said, let me see if I can grab it. He says it would take about 40,000 votes to recall Klein. So that's where I'm at. Enough with the
Man,
marches and rallies and anemic rhetoric. Let's get his ass out of office. True power, true people power in effect. Where is the NAACP on that front? Also, later on in the chat, brother RG says, "Yeah, Don Klein needs to get moved out the paint. When is this dude up for reelection?"
that's a great question.
Yeah, reelection is the thing, but even beyond reelection, recall.
Man,
like
get him out of
Anthony
here.
Rogers, recall Klein, like Anthony Rogers Wright is saying. So there's several things that can happen here, and also just thinking about Senator Wayne, who hopefully we'll have on the show. He put some stuff in place there, man, to say, listen, when a police shooting happens, you got to have a separate, independent kind of a grand jury take a look at this. That has to be where the investigation lies. So for
Hmm.
him to come out and say they already investigated this enough and he's already made his decision on that, it kind of taints the next step, which is that it still has to be looked at again and investigated, and he's already creating some bias with that, and I think that's what everybody's really upset about. Over the weekend I found Senator Wayne's statement that he put out. I don't know if you
Mm.
guys saw that on Friends of First Sky Omaha, but yeah, he's saying there's a conflict of interest here, and we need it, and he's doing the call for justice. So it kind of outlines a little bit of what I just described, and it's tainting the process when he's making these decisions. If you remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when the stuff went down with Brother Skurlock,
Man,
the decisions that he made, even the day of that happening, to not even bring the cops in or bring the guy in, the racist dude in that shot him, not even arrest him. Don Klein be making decisions way before it's time to be making decisions, and I think everybody's real tired of that. Real tired of that. Anthony
man,
Rogers Rice says exactly, Paul. That could have massive impact on the grand jury. He should not have said a word about whether or not that cop should be charged. But that never stops him. That never stops him saying things
no,
before the
and
time.
no, and it's just very interesting. What he's relying on, according to this article, it says Klein said he is relying on veiled statement because the only video of the shooting is blocked by the officer's own ballistic shield. So,
No, not even any footage, body cam footage that like. So
or
so in
any
other
other
words, mhm.
or any other internal investigations. Like, of course, we know the body cam footage, you can't rely on that, but you're solely relying on the officer. Like what he said, I'm just going with what he said because that's all we got. Maybe if you had waited for maybe other investigations, internal investigations. Again, we'll get into a little later on. Senator McKinney is calling for an outside prosecutor to look into this situation. Again, the Nebraska State Patrol, they're investigating. What is the findings from their investigation? Like, you're only going off of what this officer said. How can that not be problematic?
Well, it's not problematic for them because they feel like all they need is what the cop said, and that's all you really need to consider. Not anything else. So if they said it, then hey, and there's something really important too that he said in that statement too. According to the law, it very well
Yeah.
could be that the case law may need to be changed. Like Wanda Lewis is saying in the chat, she says, "I'm so proud of Senator Terrell McKinney for stepping up to the plate. The shooting death of Cameron Ford, even though it's not his district of legislation, also for the city council representation, it's Pete Festerson's district, and we haven't heard a word from him."
Mm, it's a good point.
So yeah, maybe a little problematic as well. Definitely need to check that out. So there you go. We need to figure that part out in a big way as well. What is that? We still have elected officials that we need to hear from on this subject. But I can understand why people don't really want to touch it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, look, Don Klein was a Democrat and had a big old press conference to switch to Republican because that's where all his connections and all his people were really, and it says a lot. It says a lot to for the some of the stuff that we've been hearing from him. Uh, we're back in the is he's back in everybody's conversation, bro, for making a decision like this. Like this is problematic, and everybody's saying that in Justin Wayne's statement, he was saying, I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to question his I can't remember the words he used,
Integrity.
but integrity, right? But yeah, still what he's doing is a conflict of interest. It's problematic. It's problematic, and he only does it because he has the backing of the team that he has, the Republican Party, and the governor and everybody in the police department. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
he says what he says, and he's confident in that because part of it has to do with the law maybe need to be changed, but there's stuff in place already, like the law that anytime a police shooting happens, you need to have a grand jury investigation about it before you start making some decisions.
Yeah,
So
and it just seems like he's always like, isn't he supposed to be impartial from the police at some point? Like, isn't this supposed to be an independent office that kind of checks and balances the police? It seems like every time his decision, his rhetoric, his tone is lock in step with the police. Like he just seems like another cop with a different job.
mm. So yeah, there you have it. We'll definitely talk to the senators. Can't wait to talk to the senators about this. Have them weigh in on what's going on. What they have to say about this situation too, being so close to it.
Yeah.
Also, check out Sherman Wells' page. He's been doing a lot on his page as well, his YouTube channel, to really kind of talk about these things and talk to get with the family, and you can get a lot more information on the ground level if you look into some of these other Sherman Wells's page, and a few other pages that are out there. I'll grab the names of, but there's some things that some people are actually talking about that you're not really seeing in the news quite yet about the situation, and that needs to be discussed as well. But this is top of mind right now because of the fact that that's the progression, like you said, the progression of this case has to do with what Don Klein just did,
Hmm.
and there's been some responses.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, to that response, this did make headlines. This is coming out of Omaha World Herald. A headline reads: North Omaha leaders call for a special prosecutor, as I mentioned, to investigate police killing of Cameron Ford. Again, big shout out to those who did show up in support of this press conference. There's actually a video of the speeches on Friends Up if you want to check that out for yourself. But again, during the press conference held at 24th and Lake, several actually religious leaders were out there. As we know her, Pastor P, Reverend Portia Cavett, president of the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance of Metropolitan Omaha. Also, Reverend T. Michael Williams, who's the president of the Omaha NAACP. So some people calling them out. Also, Wayne Brown, who's the president and CEO of the Urban League of Nebraska. They were all at this press conference and all in unison call for an independent investigation into the shooting. The speakers were joined also by local advocates and members of the Ford family. According to this article, some wore shirts or held signs calling for "quote unquote" justice for Cameron. Again, the press conference was in response and came after Don Klein's decision to announce that, again, this was legal and the shooting was justified. Again, Vale was the member of the SWAT team who shot and killed Ford during a no-knock warrant. And during this press conference, also the issue of no knock warrants was addressed, calling for the removal of no knock warrants. Again, under Nebraska law, as Paul mentioned, deadly force is justified if a quote unquote reasonable ground existed for the person to believe that they were at risk of death or serious bodily harm, even if they were mistaken about the extent of the danger. Klein said he concluded that Vale's actions stem from a reasonable belief that his safety was in jeopardy, despite the fact that he had a whole riot shield. And this is me saying that. So yeah, I digress.
Mm,
Cavett said Saturday that she believes a special prosecutor is needed to ensure the grand jury required by state law to review the case will review all evidence impartially. Cavett gave a list of factors that she thinks deserve scrutiny, including what she called the failure of Vale and other officers involved in the no-knock warrant to give commands or instructions to Ford. Also, again, the use of no-knock warrants has been brought into question. Brother Brown of, again, Urban League said the use of no-knock warrants has too often led to avoidable violence and heart-wrenching loss. It is time to reevaluate these tactics and replace them with strategies to prioritize the well-being of both officer and the residents. Schmaderer did say that he is considering some changes, including a review of the policy to no-knock warrants after Thursday's shooting. Also, he did mention a change to where body cam footage will possibly be worn, suggesting that he might consider a move to the headgear or the helmet for body cam footage. So And there you are with that situation. A lot of things kind of being brought to light through this. Again, not just the body cam, but no knock warrants, review of these types of incidents, all being brought into question. And it seems like, again, it's all just coming to a head to lead to another officer, going quietly into his job and into his life after taking someone else's life. So,
Yep. I want to give a shout out to Sherman Wells as well because of the fact that he, when he was helping organize this rally on Saturday, one of the things they wanted to do was go down to the Urban League and NAACP to see what they have to say. We talk about this on the show a lot of times, chat chimers will bring that up. Like, where's the NAACP on this? Where's Urban League
mm-hmm.
on this issue, this issue, or that issue? So the fact that they responded and came out, I think, is a direct result of of Brother Wells, who's kind of calling them out. Like, hey, we out here, we're in the street, we're gonna march down there and see what they have to say about some things. And yeah, so that's what's up. Here's a little snippet of what happened on Saturday as well. Is that Gwen Easter out there with the signs? We got chat chimers in the
Yeah,
house.
man, they
That's
out
what's
there.
up.
John Klein saying that this shooting was legal is wrong. It's a terrible mistake. How could it be legal if Mr. Ford had no weapon with which he was threatening the officer? He did not touch the officer. How could it be legal when the officer responded in the way he did? Did he follow the mandates of his training? You can't help but hear guilt in his voice. When you hear the recording, he expresses the expletive right after his gun fires. If Mr. Bale made a mistake, he should be willing to say that. Surely he had some fear as he ascended the steps inside Mr. Ford's home. That's inevitable. But there was no need to shoot.
So there you go. You got a little snippet there of the brother from the NAACP. Like we keep on saying, the religious leaders were out that
Mm-hmm.
day. This is one of them, and kind of questioning the legality of the shoot of what Don Klein said this was legal, and
Mm-hmm.
they're out there questioning that. Wanda Lewis says, I appreciated the press conference. Their deliverance was on point in representing the opinions of concerned citizens. So it sounds like that was a thing that was a positive thing as well for all those groups to get together. I'm sure I didn't get to see Brother Wayne Brown's speech, but he's a dynamic cat too. So I'm glad that he was out there. And yeah, so this was this was I think a positive thing. I think that this is definitely news that everybody was out there and everybody kind of gathered together. This is the first time we have heard, a lot of statements from NAACP, from Urban League, come out on a thing, especially when we have elected officials that we haven't quite heard from yet on these things. So I think that it was a step in the right direction, and I believe there was another rally at Assembly of the Saints on Sunday as well that everybody kind of got together. I haven't heard any reports on that yet, so I'd
Mm.
love to hear that. But yeah, there was few different times that people got together on these things. Roscoe Wallace in the chat, good morning, saying Don Klein must go. He has total disregard for the North Omaha community. Yeah, right. RIW. Okay. Kimber says she was only one who dropped actual actionable steps out of that whole group, though, talking about Pastor P.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, appreciate that. Tony Johnson has an opinion about Pastor P's involvement in community organizations. But yeah, we love Pastor P. Glad she was out there,
Mm-hmm.
and like Kimmer says, has actionable steps. I would love to hear what those actionable steps are.
Yes.
And yeah, that would be great to kind of decipher and break down, because kind of that's the next steps, man. We're kind of taking the lead of the senators, and they made a statement, and now we're kind of trying to figure out what next steps are for that. I like what Anthony Rogers Wright was saying earlier about, man, it takes some votes to recall his position. We
Mm-hmm.
did there now. I mean, like, after everything that's happened since 2020 alone, everybody ready to be like, he got to go.
Man, and you skipping over that case, that the police shooting of the brother that was in the car right down the street from his mother's house,
Yeah,
and he wrapped that case up into 13 other cases, and they just swept them under the rug just in one fall sweep. It was like, yeah, none of this is illegal. All this is justified. All 13 cases that you only had, a couple hours to deliberate on.
Right.
Yeah, all this is justified, and sweep it under the rug, and nothing happens. It's, another brother loses his life at the hands of police, just
Yes.
justifiably.
Appreciate your comments. We got about 10 minutes before the top of the hour. In the second hour, we'll definitely dive into some more discussion. So get your comments ready for that as well. We appreciate everybody that's commented so far. I see Amy Holmes in the chat saying good morning, all. Good morning. Appreciate you
Hey,
coming on through. Shout out to Heart Ministries doing the good work. Appreciate you guys over there as well. And also, just everybody who's joined in and has something to say about this. I really looking forward to the senators who will be on shortly to be able to kind of weigh in on what's going on here, and also they kind of been out in the rallies themselves, man. They've been out
man,
there, in the thick of it. So that's what's going on. RG says Klein has too many black bodies on his record. Just the consideration for for the stuff that's been happening, and not treat. I feel like it's not ever been treated, you know, um, with the kind of level of scrutiny that it would be treated for any other for members of the of other races in Omaha. I'll just say that.
man.
Yeah, really don't understand what's going on that front. But if you guys are the elected officials that are in your district too, this is something else I was thinking about earlier. The ones that we haven't heard from, if they're in your districts, write your senator, write your congressperson, whoever you got to let say, hey, this is on our radar. This is what our neighborhood is talking about. We haven't heard from you. We would love to hear what you have to say on this. We would love to see what's going to be done on this. We have some actionable items maybe that Pastor P put out.
Man,
Can you be a part of those? So it's kind of up to us to kind of all reach out to our elected officials and figure out what's going on too. But don't stop there. Like Senator McKinney always says, don't just put your faith in politicians. That's one step, one part of it. The other part is some of the stuff that's happened this weekend, where everybody kind of rallied together and to get some understanding and some support for the family first and foremost, and then some clarity on what's going on, and then some actionable items. Shout out to Pastor P for that.
yeah, yeah, and quite honestly, I'm thinking about what I think Sister Cameron mentioned earlier about Deshaun, getting on and speaking and it kind of getting away from the family. Definitely hearts and minds with the family, but I am thinking that this has to be bigger than what Brother Cameron Ford, like, because unfortunately we can't bring him back. So everything has to be pointed towards making sure this doesn't happen again, or change, and that has to go to laws. And so yeah, it definitely has to be bigger than just getting justice for Brother Cameron Ford specifically.
Right.
Of course we want to see Officer Vale held accountable, and whatever charges be brought up, but this does have to be bigger. Like, we definitely have to look at changing laws. We definitely have to look at changing legal processes. What is a process that allows Don Klein to speak up? Is that against the process, or is there a way to change the process to where any official statements, you know, do have to be held until more investigations are handled or completed? So again, yeah, there's a lot as far as and I'm saying this as far as actionable steps. What can we do in this situation? And the first thing that comes to mind is rallying and getting behind Senator McKinney, rallying and really not even rallying, but holding those accountable and applying the pressure to change these laws, and making sure that if they don't change these laws and respond to the voters and the taxpayers and the people who really have the power, then we have to get them up out of there. We have to do something and finally realize that we as a people, do have power together to kind of stem and direct some of these things.
There you go. Tony Johnson in the chat telling us what First Guy Omaha needs to be doing again. He says, I have a weekly accountability segment and go through action steps for the efforts. So much dies after media clips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to kind of disseminate information too. It'd be great. We're kind of working on trying to put some groups together to do some more work too. But it takes folks. So maybe you'd like to volunteer for us and start putting some of these things together. Also, Anthony Rogers Rice says, uh, Kimra, oh, he's talking to Kimra about that there. So we'll see. He says poor and working white people's of conscious as well. I see more white folk calling for Klein's recall than black led orgs are.
Mm.
Interesting. Amy H. says show Pastor P's portion of the press conference, share the actionable items. Not sure where they're at in there, but I can share a portion of that. Also, Michelle Moreno says she was amazing when she spoke. So that's what's up. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody recognizing Pastor P. We'll see if we can get a little bit of her speech as well. Here, let me see if this works.
Metropolitan Omaha wishes to express our sincere condolence with deep sympathy to the entire family of Mr. Cameron Ford during this time of bereavement. We stand today with others requesting, aside from a grand jury being convened, an independent special prosecutor be appointed to investigate the police-involved shooting death of Mr. Cameron Ford, which occurred on the morning of Wednesday, August 28th in the city of Omaha in his residence located at 6423 North 78th Avenue. The circumstances surrounding his death has raised significant concerns within our community, and we believe that a thorough and independent investigation is necessary to ensure transparency and justice. As faith leaders and citizens, we trust our legal system to provide accountability when such tragic incidents take place. In the case of Mr. Cameron Ford, the details of the encounter remain unclear, and questions regarding the use of force by law enforcement demand a closer examination by a grand jury. Despite Douglas County Attorney Don Klein's decision not to charge Officer Adam Vale in the death of Mr. Cameron Ford, we believe only by engaging the grand jury with the independent special prosecutor can we ensure that all evidence is reviewed impartially and that justice is served in accordance with the law. We understand the difficult nature of police work and respect the efforts of law enforcement officers to maintain safety in our community. However, the loss of life coupled with a lack of sufficient evidence known or revealed to date in this case warrants careful scrutiny. Our community deserves to know whether all protocols were followed and whether the force used was both necessary and lawful. We urge you to take swift action in appointing a special prosecutor to thoroughly review all available evidence, including witness testimony, body camera footage, and any forensic findings, as well as the following. The rules of engagement of the Omaha Police Department, ID, SWAT team, officers' bells, ready finger on the trigger, etc. Officer Bell's experience with no-knock warrants, rules of engagement that determine his state of mind before entering Mr. Cameron Ford's home, e.g. implicit bias, etc. Officer Bell's line of sight to clearly see that Mr. Cameron Ford was unarmed when he came out of the master bedroom. Mr. Ford's removal of himself from the bedroom that contained an assault rifle, presenting himself in only his underwear in which a weapon could not be concealed, to make it clear that he was not a threat. The failure of Officer Vale and the SWAT team to give any command or instruction to surrender or otherwise to Mr. Cameron Ford before shooting Mr. Ford in the chest. The noticeable altered audio with pauses between announcing police search warrant, a single gunshot, and statement of shots fired. The SWAT team's ability to apprehend and take into custody Mr. Cameron Ford, who had nothing on him but his underwear. The thorough review of every officer's body camera in totality. The shooting officer, Officer Vale's immediate reactive comment of, "Oh, sugar, honey, iced tea," after using deadly force that killed Mr. Cameron Ford, assessing his imperfect following the procedure. These steps are essential to maintaining public trust and ensuring that Mr. Cameron Ford's family and our community receives the justice and closure they deserve.
We'll go ahead and leave it there. You can go back and check this out and Friends of First Sky Omaha. That'll be posted there as well. Shout out to this is Interdenominational Ministry Alliance of Metropolitan Omaha, are the ones that filmed that. So shout out to them for bringing those video cameras out. I see in the chat a lot of folks are talking about. I wish there was more people that showed up to this. To me, the important point too is that the news teams showed up to this too. This is something that's going to be captioned on mainstream news, also local news as well. As you can see, you got Sherman Wells back there, who is taking care of what's being taken care of as far as local communication is concerned. Also, you see Leo Lewis back there in the crowd as well. A few other folks. So shout out to Gwen Easter. Shout out to Friends of First Sky Omaha that were out there as well. And yeah, we would love to see more people rally for sure. But the important thing is that the leaders of some of these organizations came out to speak, and the news captured it, and that's what's going to make a even a bigger difference there. So shout out to Pastor P and everybody who stood up and spoke. We when things going on in our neighborhoods, man, it's really only kind of the activists and the community directors and the pastors and stuff that can even really come out. A lot of us are out working and can't show up and make it, but we can do what we're doing now, which is pass the word. Take that video and repeat that video, share it on your page, let everybody hear what's going on here, and then maybe we can even bring on Pastor P at some point and talk even more about some actionable items. So shout out to everybody that did that, and we really appreciate it. 8:01 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we appreciate you guys being witness to the broadcast that we had on since 7 o'clock. It's now the second hour of First Sky Omaha in the morning.
Morning.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I almost stepped on your line. Yeah, we're gonna definitely get together again and have some more discussion, even deeper discussion as we go along. 360 meetings for real. It's going to be off the chain this week. So yeah, definitely more to speak of, and special guests coming up as well. So let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back. And we're anticipating Senator Terrell McKinney and hopefully Senator Wayne as well, where we can continue the conversation here about what's going on in our neighborhoods with this huge deal. Justice for Cameron.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's a bigger topic of conversation happening right now in our neighborhoods. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddy the God, all of you, Chad Chambers, ghost listeners, monitoring spirits. We'll be right back, y'all. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddy the God.
Hey.
Man, you guys, Omaha was out this past week in a real way. Like I said, from everything from activism to journalism to football games to poetry shows to outside messing up, outside being young and doing things that we may not good to do. Not good to do. A lot of violence that happened over the weekend too. So apparently in Lincoln as well, which I didn't hear too much about. So shout out to Maggie Miller Jenkins who let us know about that. Big question happening. There's the situation in I believe it was Colorado. Where was the school shooting that just happened?
That was down here. That was in Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah, that was here in Georgia. I'm not sure like the proximity to where I live. But yeah, that was down here in Georgia.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like rural Georgia area.
That's where you're going.
Yeah. Well, the deal is these are young kids. This was a 15-year-old being charged as an adult. We talk about this a lot. This happens to our kids a lot. These are questions that we are are dealing with here in town, even with some of the violence that's happening with the youth out there. They are already charging the father for the crime as well, for allowing his kid to have the gun in the first place.
Bought it
Um,
for him
bought it for
for his
him,
birthday.
being charged. We talk a lot about what's going on with our youth and the kids that are out here committing crimes as early as 12, 13, 14 years old. This has been happening here a lot. Um, and we have a problem with
Mm.
them being charged as adults. We have a problem with some of the laws that some of the legislators are trying to put in place, where they can detain 9-year-olds and do all kinds of stuff, because they're saying, well, hey, if they're out here committing these crimes, we got to lower these ages, and so we can detain them, we can bring them in. I've always felt like when somebody under 18 does something, parents be responsible for that. If something happens financially or anything, parents got to pay for it until they're of legal age to take care of it themselves.
Mhm.
How come? How come parents aren't a part of that? Especially if you got a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old doing some stuff. How come parents aren't part of that? It's I don't want to, slippery slope, and I don't want to I don't want to make a judgment on the one way or another, but I do kind of feel a little bit like that. Like, how come the parents aren't responsible for it? Why are we treating the kids like they're adults at 12 years old, but not saying nothing about how the parents should have been parenting, or the parents should have been involved, or the parents should have been responsible for things that are happening? For what I hear a lot of times, it's parents are involved. Parents involved sometimes with, you know, just the message of don't let that person do that to you. Go back and go back and retaliate.
Mhm.
Sometimes I've heard that in a lot of discussions that I've had with people who are boots to the roots on the ground with the kids and the parents. I noticed this a lot, man. I talked to Brother Sherman Wells and Brother Kasim. When they're having their meetings, I've been to their meetings before, and they will say right in the meetings, like, parents, you all need to step up. This is on you too. They're talking to the youth that are right there, the youth that are doing some of the dirt. Sometimes they're in the room. They're talking to them directly and saying, we're here for you. We can help you not be a part of any of this mess. And then say, and your parents got to help too. And we're gonna
Yeah.
call them out too. You might not like what I'm saying, right? I remember Brother Wells saying that. You might not like what I'm saying right now, but where are you at when they out here doing stuff? What do y'all think? What do y'all think about parents being charged for things that their young kids are doing? Kind of wanted to put that out there and ask that, seeing as there's a big case in national news right now where this is happening. There's a lot of the news outlets are saying this is a trend.
Mhm. Yeah, if you remember the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, that the during that rally, and the young man that was, um, involved in the shooting took the life of the protesters there. Walked straight past police. They treated him like he was one of their own. If you remember that whole situation, that has
Written
since come out that it's since come out that his mother is being charged because she again helped buy the gun. She drove him across state lines. Like, she was definitely a part of that situation. So yes, it's not just Georgia; it is a national trend. And yeah, that is it's important conversation. And I'm glad you're approaching it from this angle, because we talk about you know it's all one conversation. Let's just call it what it is. And I'll be honest, as I'm reporting and just kind of mentioning it in the newsletter and things like that about the Cameron Ford shooting. In the back of my mind, I'm hearing that rhetoric, that voice, like, what about black on black crime? Like, people always point that out in these conversations. And that is a conversation that is also happening in the Nebraska Omaha area. As
Mhm.
we mentioned, there were this recent case of 6 or more, I believe, young men that were not even young men, boys. Let's just call it what it is, boys, young boys, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, that are wrapped up in this situation. And yeah, the point of who's being held responsible, who's being held accountable. Should these youth be looked at as adults, or should the real adults be held accountable as far as the parents? And according to actually Channel 3, KMTV 3, and there was a report checking Nebraska's laws and what consequences parents could face for their children's crimes. Something that we should all be made aware of, especially if we have young children out there. According to let's see, Nebraska law, Miltonberger, who said the state does not, or excuse me, does have laws to prosecute parents for their children's crime in the form of aiding and abetting laws. He says we have in Nebraska a theory of prosecution that's called aiding and abetting. It isn't necessarily that you conduct the act yourself, but if you provided a method for someone to do something, provided them a gun or things of that nature, you could be prosecuted for the same crimes based on that type of theory. Also, a Melody Vacroy with the Nebraska's Against Gun Violence said people need to be held responsible for the guns they bring into communities. Children don't get guns on their own. The only way that minors get guns is when adults leave them around for minors, or in some cases, sell them to the minors. Milton Berger said in Nebraska and nationally, prosecuting parents for their children's crimes is based on a case by case basis, what the evidence dictates, and how prosecutors choose to present their case. Saying, I think it's a wake up call for some people. I think you're going to see prosecutor offices across the country start doing things like what they're doing in Georgia. So, again, especially in light of so much youth violence in the Omaha, Nebraska area. Yeah, that is very, very interesting to see, how the courts will respond to that. Where we see more of the pressure being applied to the youth, and again, more efforts to try to get them viewed as adults in the courts, or again, holding the real adults accountable.
There you go. Chat's going off.
Yeah, man.
Magic Miller Jenkins in the chat saying the only justice we will see for the slain black bodies is a dismantling of the KKK corrupt policing system.
Man.
Uh, Marla Harrison is saying, is reminding us that shooter out in Georgia was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Which is part of the factor of the reason why they decided to prosecute the parent as well. But Magic Miller Jenkins said, notice how he's still alive. White, very privileged, very not black experience. Very true. Had he been a black child, he wouldn't be alive to stand trial, most likely. Most likely indeed. Appreciate that. Anthony Rogers Wright is saying, Dylan Roof is also alive and getting 3 meals a day on taxpayers' dime.
There you go.
This is a pattern. This is stuff that this not just a one-off. This happens all the time. So there you go. Also, the son was investigated last year for terroristic threats.
Yep.
Talking about the 14-year-old shooter. It was interesting that it was a big news article that he denied that he was making threats on social media. And I thought, why is that the headline? Why is that the headline? He denied that he was making threats on social media. It it smelled of bad media representation and the status quo of mainstream news sometimes. Didn't appreciate that at all. Didn't appreciate that was progression of the story. Was he denies that he gave terrorists. This man this kid just shot a bunch of people. Kimber Snipes says we ran out of time talking about people that ask questions at that press conference. He says I blame Roscoe, and the chief never got to no knocks, so I was really disappointed. My first question was about criteria around the threat level. So she was there asking questions in that meeting with the police chief there. Was talking about no knock warrants. Also, Anthony Rogers Wright says this is a trend started in Pontiac, Michigan. Yes, parents do have a responsibility, and they should be at least be charged with manslaughter. Magic Miller Jenkins says, "Duh, lock up the parents. Kids can't buy guns." So people feeling that same kind of sentiment. Kimmer says, "My kids at the library, a lot of them had parents that were odd, that were off the chain." She says, "I had a girl's mom do a drive by on someone's home." I tell you, man, a lot of times I'm hearing from people when I'm we're talking to people in our neighborhoods that are talking about these subjects, and they're saying that. They're saying, well, I know that kid, I know that parent. That parent was grooming them a little bit to go out here and act like that.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. Nobody, is born and grows up like, oh, I want to go shoot and kill people. Like that's nobody. I mean, there's a few, insanity, but
if you're 11 or 12, you might
Exactly.
you might be watching cartoons and thinking you're a superhero still.
Man.
And killing people don't have no consequence because you've been watching TV since you was 2. Mama God said his grandfather said, "Oh, good morning, Mama God." By the way,
Hey.
his grandfather said he comes from troubled home. His father was second parent charged in nation for action of their children in mass shootings. Second in nation, talking about the situation out there in Georgia. Marlon Harrison says a lot of parents turn a blind eye to their kids' bad behavior or don't pay attention at all. or contribute to it, man. Like I said, I've heard a
Yeah,
lot of
compounded.
situations where they contribute to them. They're like, don't go out there and get punked like that. Do something about it and send them out. Kimmer says they already go for the parents for truancy. That's what I'm saying. Like they parents, they go after they already go after parents for truancy for all this. There's there's legal age. If you buy alcohol and buy alcohol for somebody under 18 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
like the person, the adult in the group is responsible for letting them kids drink, and you can be in trouble for it. Why can't you be in trouble for crimes that your kids are committing when they're that young? It doesn't make any sense to me that doesn't happen more either. Anthony Rogers Rice says, let's be clear. I don't support laws that will keep guns out of the hands of the homes of black people. As Ida B reminds us, a Winchester rifle, like the Bible, should have a place in honor in every black household. uh, yeah, I hear you. But a lot of these laws are, that's the route they go when they start making laws. Let's take the guns away from the families. Let's lock the kids up. Let's detain them early. They go this law and order, law enforcement type of situation every time they want to try to solve a problem. We all want to solve the problem of the youth being out here getting mixed up in murders and stuff like that. Yes, we all want to do something about it, but and it seems like the only solutions that ever come are stuff like that, like detain them at 9 and all those kinds of laws coming. Tony
Yeah,
Johnson says, overheard someone talking about the BAA member who had a group of youth roll up on him last week with guns, a trained security person. Glad you
that's Brother
brought that up.
Kasim.
Glad you brought that up. That was something that I wanted to get to today as well, because
Okay.
that was something that happened last week, and there was a lot of nuance to that situation as well. Basically, if you haven't heard, he got rolled up on by a bunch of youths that were in ski masks. They jumped out on him. He jumped out on him and drew down, and it almost went down. And one of the kids said that's not him, and they all kind of jumped in the car and took off. And um, that story was to me the headline of last week.
Really?
Because, absolutely, absolutely. We're having some issues right now with our youth getting mixed up in this kind of behavior. And he said that these are pretty young cats too, very young. And again, this is what we're talking about here. Also, Brother Kasim had to come back on later and say, "Listen, it was only my training." The
Mm-hmm.
first post that he put out was like, "Parents, get y'all kids. This just happened. Why are these kids running around with their parents not knowing where they're at? Get your kids, because they're out here acting up and they almost got killed." And he came back later with a second post saying, if it weren't for my training, if
Mm-hmm.
it weren't for me thinking about these kids as human beings, uh, they might have got shot. As a trained security officer who has a company and trains people on security and survival and everything else, he felt that his life was threatened at that moment when they jumped out on him. You don't what you gonna do if a car full of people jump out with ski masks on, drawn weapons, and jumping out aggressively towards you. The fact that this brother has come as far as he has come and is relied. I mean, it's a testimony to the training. It's a testimony to everything that it went down the way it went down. And it's a stark contrast of what happened last week, where a man got killed, an unarmed man standing in his drawers got killed in his own home by a SWAT team. By a SWAT team. So I think it's huge. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm actually reaching out to Brother Kasim. I'd like to have him on to talk about this. I think it's a very significant story on so many different fronts, on how it is that we can even help deal with them, even on security, on a police level. Imagine if we had police like Brother Kasim.
Maybe we do. Maybe we need to revisit the city contract. Maybe certain precincts need to be shut down and replaced with private police or private something. Because this is, the more I think about this whole Cameron Ford situation, is just, it can't be justified. You're talking about somebody who, I'll say it like this. There's a difference between being prepared to kill and being ready to kill. Brother Kasim is prepared to kill if he has to. The Omaha Police Department are ready to kill anybody.
They shoot first, ask questions later, because they think they a bunch of cowboys.
They are ready to kill. And it's just the more I think about the facts of the case, even to Don Klein's own admission in the article, he says that there were about 24 to 26 commands in a matter of 12 seconds between the police entering the home and shooting. So you mean to tell me police busting in somebody's house at 7 o'clock in the morning, most likely that person is asleep, and the fact that he was in his underwear when he was shot and unarmed further points to the fact that he was most likely asleep when he walked in. And you only get 12 seconds to respond?
Well, yeah. Which one was it? 12 seconds, or was it they issued however many mandates to him? They said something like they what was it, 70 times that he disregarded their instructions a whole bunch of times. I can't remember what the number was.
24 to 26 commands.
Okay,
the article.
So they spit out 24 to 26 commands in 16 seconds. Something, the math ain't mathing. No, and let's also not talk about that point too, that the fact that you can get killed because you're not going to do something the cops tell you to do right away.
That part,
man, it's on and on, man. I'm gonna jump back into the chat because this is I want this to be a discussion with everybody. I appreciate that. Rome's reviews in the chat. Shout out to Mayor Sanchez. Parents should not be held, not in caps, be held accountable for simply being a parent. Nope, not saying that. If there is aiding and abetting, then yes, of course, I think parents of color would be held to a higher standard than not. Very true.
Yes,
very true.
I see that.
But I don't think, I'm not really putting it like that simply for being a parent. I do think that you're responsible for what your kids do in other areas, and you probably should be in that too. Not sure how, because there's too many cases where people are like, well, he went in, I didn't know he had the gun. I didn't know where he was at. Like this. Nah, man. Something got to change on that. Wanda Lewis in the chat says, if parents have troubled children and disregard ongoing issues with some type of intervention and monitoring by the parent, then the parent should be held accountable. What if they got 2 full-time jobs and they can't? What if the kid is at the babysitter's or the babysitter's over at the house and they go into the gun cabinet and go get it out and go do something? I mean, it's a slippery slope. That's why I'm saying, like, it's a slippery slope. But what I think, I lean towards something going on with the parents more than I lean towards detaining 9-year-olds and charging 12-year-olds like adults with no thought to they actually got to like put the gun in the kid's hand, aid and abet the crime in order to get something else needs to happen. Matthew Miller Jenkins says this case highlighted the difference between black experience and white privilege. We just got done talking about an unarmed black man assassination to a mass murdering white kid walking away.
Yep.
Kimmer says not being charged as adults, and we definitely need some sort of support for these families. Let me put that in there too. I'm never not talking about. I'm saying that there needs to be family support on as well as family accountability. I'm never just saying, arrest the parents. I'm saying that if you are trying to help the kid, help the family too, give them some family support. She says not being charged as adults, we definitely need some sort of support for these families. We have a lot of youth programming, but what about programming for 25 to 45-year-olds? RG says, what about black on black crime has been heavy on social media since Michael Brown.
Yep.
Mama God says a troubled child that is bullied at school, not justified, but talking points for parents to discuss with their children about effects of bullying and speaking up to this, as well as mental health. We all know a lot of folks out there that got kids that probably shouldn't. Everybody's not going parent like they need to, or even know how to sometimes. It's slipping through the cracks, but we're talking about like responsibility of the child. So if you have a responsibility there people take kids, there's CPS. You do something and put your child in some kind of danger, then they're coming and taking your child away. There's all these laws that have to do with parents and children. Would we rather have parents being held accountable than to have 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds charged as adults? Anthony Rogers Rice says, to be fair, Paul, the first superhero I want to emulate was Black Hornet from Fat Albert. What you know about the Black Hornet? Are you old enough to know about
Fat Albert?
Let's see. Kimber says, I'm not saying the kids don't need to be put into some sort of facility. I'm saying they don't need to be charged as adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Um, she says, let's talk about the systems in place if we're going to talk about the fault of parents. Yes, that's right. Systems first. The systems first. These laws. I mean, Don Klein is saying that they didn't do anything against the law. Laws first. Like, what are the laws first? And can we, what can we do there? Can we move that? What can be done there? I mean, Justin Wayne pushed the law where a police shooting has to be looked at by the grand jury. So that's an example of a situation where a law is going to really affect how things go with the actual case. Can't that happen with parents? Can't that happen with you know? Is there an alternative to charge them like adults, detain 9-year-olds? Is there an alternative to that to try to help kids stay out of trouble? Um, trying to cipher through the chat. I appreciate everybody
Mm-hmm.
who's chiming in.
Maggie Miller Jenkins has a good or interesting
Mhm.
question. She says, "What are we doing as a society to provide support to these parents that don't know how to parent beyond punishing them? Yes, parents should be charged, but they also deserve preemptive support as well."
Yeah, most def. Sue Kessler hanging in the chat. Good morning. Says there are kids that are uncontrollable, and we give them no help with these kids. In those cases, the justice system is at fault. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, a lot of times parents don't even know what's going on with their kids. And a lot of times those kids are not able to be controlled. They're gonna be at school half the day out of the parents' control. What are you gonna do? Mama God says you are always responsible for the law. The law has to evaluate to what degree. Don't unleash them on society. Do everything you can to get help. Let establishments know you need help.
Yeah.
Again, telling it to put it in the parents' hands. So I appreciate everybody's comments. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them. We'll get back to them and continue this discussion. But right now, we got a special guest waiting in the wings. We're going to bring him in because we were absolutely looking forward to hearing what he has to say on a lot of these subjects. Ladies and gentlemen, in his Nebraska red, my man, Senator Terrell McKinney. Good morning, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. How y'all doing? My bad for being late, man. Got
Oh,
a that like to start the morning a little on her time. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, yeah,
All good.
babies, you on their schedule. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us.
yep.
And kind of in lieu of time, want to jump, right on in. Thoughts about the, Cameron Ford situation? I know you were at the press conference over the weekend. What? How you feeling? Where are
Uh,
we now?
I mean, I'm still hopeful to hear that. Hopeful that Don Klein decides to appoint a special prosecutor. Um, Councilwoman Johnson just called me and said he probably will do it. I'm not.
Mm,
I don't have an official statement or official anything on that, so don't quote me on that. Um, Also, we still need to push the Omaha Police Department to ban the usage of no-knock warrants as well. But even after that, I still need to get back to Lincoln to pass legislation to ban the usage of no-knock warrants, but also to pass a bill that Senator Wayne did introduce that says in situations like this that a special prosecutor is automatically appointed. So Don
mm-hmm,
isn't even in a position to to even do what he just did.
mm-hmm.
So it's multiple layers to this. It's a frustrating situation, man. And for me, it's frustrating because I brought legislation to try to ban these things, and
Here we are.
the police come down and oppose this and lie and say they don't use them, and they still do. They come in our community and act like they are friends, and people welcome them with open arms, and it really upsets me. And I almost said something I shouldn't have said on here, but that's what frustrates me, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
they play games in our face, and too many people in our community let them.
Just go along with it.
I feel like people in our community, when you start talking about, I see Anthony Rogers right in the chat earlier was talking about defunding the police. I see there's two kind of schools out here when it comes to us in our neighborhoods. There's people that are really, really adamant on changing the system up, defunding the police. That people that don't agree with the whole policing system in the first place, and then there's people who are kind of scared and are and understandably so. There's crime and there's stuff going on all the time, and want to figure out how to work with the police because they want to be able to call the police when they need to on stuff they have no control over too. Is there a happy medium in there somewhere where we can get like maybe some police reform so that we're not going all the way abolishing the police, but at the same time.
But we got to be honest, it's all manufactured by white supremacy. They put us in a box. They got us killing each other. I've been listening. Poverty is poverty because America has decided to place us in, like, literally. It's like, let's be honest, bro. Like, our kids are placed in these situations and doing what they doing because this country has never decided to do right by us. They enslaved our people and took our history and our identity. Our kids don't even know who they are. We don't know our history. It's super deep, and it's like, come on, man. Like, yeah, like, nobody wants to be unsafe in a community. Nobody wants to live in an environment where you got to sleep on the floor, anything like that. Like, I grew up in poverty. I grew up in North Omaha. I went to North. I got shot at walking from school multiple times. I was a kid, like, on the floor ducking drive-bys. I've been in raids as a kid, getting woken up with the police pointing guns in my face. I've seen it all. So, but at the end of the day, I know what the root is. It started with the enslavement of my ancestors and white people,
Mm-hmm.
black people, and we got to be honest about that. That's where it starts. And just caping for them, for me, is just not. It's not cool. Yes, we want to be safe, but at the end of the day, that don't mean we don't. That don't mean bite your tongue and say, no, y'all wrong. Y'all been wrong. And y'all ain't done nothing but lip service for the end of time, saying y'all care about us, because if they cared about us, they would stop going to the mayor saying they need an increase in budget, but they would go to the mayor and say, instead of giving us an increase in our budget, increase what you give to the community every year.
Mm.
They don't do that because police don't prevent crime. It's
Mm-hmm.
very it's very few cases of crime that they prevent.
Yeah, they always after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Rogers right in the chat says the police are here to protect the state. The state only exists to protect the capitalist class and prevent the rightful class antagonism of the proletarian majority. There's too much rot in the system to reform it. It must be de- 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 deracinated,
Deracinated
deracinated, abolished, and kicked to the curb. You over here
words.
stumping with them big words, bro. Uh,
Them
understand what you're
words.
saying though, for sure. Yeah, appreciate the comment there. I want to stick with this subject here. We'll come back to the inland important in a minute, brother. Right, but I wanted to stick with this subject here. Maggie Miller Jenkins says, "I love your thoughts on pro LB-77 vote in hindsight. I just saw mixed first gunshot
But
wounds.
but my thing on that, even with the gun thing, I always said, bro, I live in America and I'm a realist and I'm super practical. As long as white people got guns, I think black people should have guns. And my stance on LB-77, it honestly was, there was provisions in there where if it was passed, it would stop them from targeting black people in North Omaha. And I couldn't get that passed straight up.
Mm.
That's where I was, and I still didn't vote for the bill because it got worse. So
Mm.
I'm just saying, like, the police ain't for us.
So just to clarify, LB-77 was a gun control bill.
No, it wasn't a gun control bill. It would allow it would take away the permit, the need. You still could get a permit, but it would take away the need. But within doing that, it would stop it stopped the Omaha police from being able to target people,
Mm-hmm.
which they said on the record in the hearing, and I kept saying it, and people kept calling me crazy. And that's what I think people be missing. Like I know it's like a lot of groups out here, and yes, I like because I think there's two gun rights. There's two. There's multiple conversations when you talk about guns, and I think it's different between black people and white people.
Mm-hmm.
It's also multiple conversations when you talk about gun violence, because gun violence in our community ain't discussed the same as gun violence in other communities. It is it's just different, bro. And I don't gotta go all day on that. But the fact that the police wouldn't be able to target our people is something I felt was important to discuss, at least to just say, hey, we should at least have a conversation about them not being able to target us.
Mm-hmm. Kind of going back to a word that we used a lot on the show early on, and realizing that a lot of these bills aren't cut and dry, and even though there's a main issue that's being addressed in the bill, there's always certain language that address other things, and other things being wrapped up in the bill that might not even be directly related. Reminding me of the word nuance. There's a lot of nuance when having these types of conversations,
But
and dealing with certain bills, legislation, and
yeah,
things
but it
like that.
goes back to people just trying to like they try to use conversations around different topics just to fit their narrative, and they don't
Talking points.
never want to tell the full story. And that's what frustrates me. I don't even care if we disagree. Just tell the full story.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hear
and
that.
also wanted to kind of double back on the point that you made as far as the um, so an independent investigator in the grand jury process. That's ultimately a Don Klein decision whether or not he wants to do that. Like it's up to Don Klein whether he oversees the grand jury process or he steps aside and allows a third party to come in.
Yep.
Mm.
Well, that ain't looking good. That ain't
Yeah.
looking. Boy, I thought you fell for a minute. Not the camera. You fell off the chair. Yeah, that doesn't feel it doesn't inspire confidence, especially since he's made the statement that he's made. We kind of been discussing this kind of the whole show. I think the listeners and everybody is on the same page here. A lot of good comments. I want to kind of jump to the solutions here.
Hmm.
Pastor P that was said that they kept on saying that she has some action points. Were you there? You there on Saturday, and were you able to hear her and what she had to say on that?
No, I wasn't there.
Mm.
I actually didn't know about that press conference.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, somebody said that earlier. Yeah, you
It's
didn't
kind
even
of
know
last
about it.
minute.
Yeah.
so I wasn't there. Like she sent the letter out, so I read it. So I mean, they have some good points. I wasn't there.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on next
Hmm.
step action points?
I mean, you just gotta really just keep pressing for those answers. I think she asked some good questions about rules of engagement. State of mind, more body cam footage, because even when I was down there with the family, they only showed three angles. But there's before footage and after footage that was never shown. I'm sure
Mm.
they're probably gonna argue they can't show it because of the grand jury investigation, but it still needs to be released eventually whenever. Um, I think also we have to press the OPD and the mayor's office to ban no knock warrants. The city council too, like press every.
Mm.
Uh,
So I kind of want to double down on that because we had talked to you about whether or not you would bring legislation on a state level, but that's something that can be addressed on a municipal city level as well. As far
it's
as
the department policy. They could say we ain't gonna use them. I mean, yes, I want to ban them on a state level, but it's the department, the mayor, the city policy. They could say we ain't gonna use them.
mm.
Mm.
And
And
the,
what is
and
that process? Is that just a letter to city council?
letters to the city council, go down to the city council. I think we also should be talking about the sheriff's office too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It was actually a part of this investigation. That's actually hasn't really dawned on me, but it's almost like duh. And it seems like that's something that will actually be quicker. Like that's something that could be brought in the form of an ordinance and just passed in the city council meeting.
It could be an ordinance, or I mean, the chief could just, from what I understand, he could come out and say the Omaha Police Department is never not going to use no knock warrants no more.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm. Man, just like that. And okay,
and
that's seeming like a more reasonable. don't know if reasonable is the word, but that seems like a better route to really attack this head on. Because yes, I definitely appreciate you saying that you'll pass legislation, but that's a whole process. We gotta go get it out of committee. It has to go through debates. We got to get other senators to step. But it seems like the direct decision makers in that
But
Mayor Stalter, Chief
but
Schmager.
if the city of Omaha steps up and ban them, it makes it easier for me to pass it.
Mm, okay.
The biggest city in the state. If
Mm-hmm.
Omaha's not using them, who is the city with the most, crime, then why does anybody else need to use them?
Okay.
What do you think the chances are that that's gonna happen? That he's gonna call it.
Um, you know, I hope it happens, but I have no faith in police. So I
Mm-hmm.
hope it happens though. I try to be optimistic, but I don't put my faith in law enforcement.
Hear that?
That's kind of a thought, man. It's very interesting. Like, how do you navigate through a system or a situation where obviously the community is not trusting of the police, especially this incident is not helping at all. Um, do you have any opinions about how to repair that relationship, or is that something that
I
just
don't
need
know
to go a different direction?
where people ask me this question, and I've thought about it.
Okay.
I How you repair, what is it, 400 plus years of discrimination, oppression. I don't know how you repair that. It's not a simple fix, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
it you got to deconstruct that whole system, man. Like I don't know how you could repair it because it's too many people within it that got destructive mentalities that are race, are white supremacists who don't care about us. You got too many people who gonna cape for them. It's just a bad system that was built off of a negative. Like it's just like this country was built off slavery. So how could it ever be great? So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't
Appreciate
know.
the honesty.
I feel that. I feel that too. It's a we all know that the police came into place to capture escaped slaves in the first place. And you can reach that all the way up to now. It feels like that sometimes they still in the neighborhoods, policing in a very parental way that way. And genocide rights, like
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Rogers rights, slavery and genocide. So yeah, how they repair that? To me, the system comes. It's like how do you repair racism in this country? Period. Because really, like I feel like law enforcement is an extension of how the country is already feeling about us in the first place, and it's just the it's just the arm of the whole of white supremacy in the country. Period. So
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know how to, what can you do, on a local level or a small level to fix relationships. I don't know. I don't think it'd ever be fixed. So best we can do, we're in the fight. We were just asking you what about steps here, try to encourage them to change some of these things, like where the body cam is worn, and whether or not they do no knock warrants. And I just feel like they'll probably try to find something else if they do that. I don't even know why they would. They feel like they got SWAT teams and they feel like they got to use them.
But
um,
here's the thing about no knock warrants, and this is where words matter and what they say matters, because it's all to me it's BS.
Mm.
If they're going in for a warrant, that means they already got, in my opinion, enough evidence to arrest you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm selling drugs, or especially if you need a SWAT team or something, that means you already technically already busted me. You just gotta arrest me at this point. So why not surround my house and wait for me to come out? Wait for me
Man.
to get in my car. Like you don't need to go in. Like there is no reason real there's to me there's no justification for running in the house without knocking. Yeah, I can't think of one. Because if they argue, oh, buddy's gonna destroy the drugs, you already caught me selling drugs.
which is why you got the warrant in the first place.
Right, right. Which had to be signed off by a higher up.
So it's just BS. And
Mm-hmm.
media let them slide when they say this stuff. They don't correct them. They don't check them.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just it yeah. I mean, even puts the officers at danger. Like
Yeah, you know
they
what?
don't know what they're busting into. They don't know what's going on. The door could be rigged with explosives. Like they don't know what's going on.
What if it was some babies in the house?
And it has been.
Kids,
Yeah.
like,
Or the wrong house, just in general,
like
which it has been.
Breonna Taylor. What trips me out, coming from California, understanding the SWAT team was built in LA in the first place. The SWAT team was built because they had to bum rush crack houses that were already set up with security and all kinds of stuff, and they had to get up over that, and that's why they created SWAT teams to bust in places like that. Why are we in Middle America busting in people's homes with that same? It don't make no sense. Um, But and where else does this happen? Where else where else in town? Where else in Nebraska does this kind of stuff happen? It only happens in our community. It only happens in our community. Appreciate your words on that. Like I said, we're going to continue to keep on asking that question, like what's next steps? What can we do? As an extension to the rallies and the stuff that went down. Definitely try to help keep you in the loop on some of this stuff as well. They were saying that they wish that there was a bigger turnout at the thing, but I'm glad that
Mhm.
the leaders of some of these some of the NAACP and Urban League and stuff spoke, and that the news people were there to capture that. I think it's been big news in our city right now. What's happened here? You put a letter out too. Talking about what Don Klein did. You had a statement. I just saw Senator Wayne's statement too. Recently that he put out about what was going on with Don Klein. What can we do about Don Klein? I remember you. One of the biggest clips we ever made was of you saying trying to teach people how to vote. Like, how do you get people to vote? You bring it down to their level. If you're gonna get arrested, then you won't have Don Klein if you vote him out. What's the situation with that? With voting him out, getting him out? Uh, what can we do?
I mean, I don't think he up for re-election until
That's
like 2020.
27,
I think he could be recalled. I think somebody said it takes like what 40 something thousand votes. I mean,
70.
but is that votes or signatures?
Mm,
Hmm.
good question.
I don't know. I had to look into that.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's that, and just kind of probably just try to figure out what that process is and just keep pressing.
That's 40.
But even if he's not able to be recalled, I think we need to also have a conversation about who's going to run for that seat,
Hmm.
Mm.
because I don't know if he's running again in 26, but I don't really like the person that is like the other person in his office ain't the greatest either. And she probably gonna try to replace him.
Mm.
Succession planning is definitely a part of this conversation.
And she be right there with him. That lady that be standing there. So I think her name is what is it, Brenda Beadle. So
Mm.
we gotta just start talking about that too. Like who even if we recall him, who is going to be our person?
And before that recall can even happen, is there anything is there anything that can be done with him and his office? Is it just reiterating, what can be done to influence this situation?
Transparency. I think I had a bill on that before too. So
Hmm.
I mean, it's different things that can be done legislatively, even locally. So I think it's different things we could look at. But we gotta put a strategy and a plan on paper and like work it out. I think we just gotta be strategic about whatever we do. I don't think we gotta keep talking about it. If we're gonna do something, let's do it. We don't gotta keep meeting to meet. Like, let's meet to win. Let's
Hmm.
meet to actually, you know, and win in a good way. Win to, like, make improvements in our community to make sure like we got people in these positions that are gonna do right by us and things like that. So I I think it's strategies. We just gotta get in rooms and be strategic and actually map it out, like, game plan. Like if you're a football coach and you planning for the week, what's our strategy? how are we gonna win this game? Because that's what it
Yeah.
is, a game. And how are we gonna win it?
Man.
I see football's on your mind. We gotta shout out to the Huskers. I think was you at a game? Did you go out? Did you go out
Yeah,
and
I
check
think
the game out?
Yeah, I was at that game.
checked it
See,
out. Okay.
look, I am trying. Although I got this is not intentional actually, but although I was there, I'm not trying to get too high and I'm not trying to get too low.
Oh yeah.
I've I've been suffering for a long time. And I just want them to just you know let's stay even kill and just
Yeah.
let's not get too high. You
Yeah.
know,
You
Like
know
I
what?
said, the energy is different, but yeah, we got decades of trauma.
yeah, I've been here multiple times.
Just ride the wave. Ride the wave as long as it goes.
See, man. I be thinking,
Not a cowboy fan.
Yeah, yeah.
but Anthony Rogers Rice is Senator out to draft a bill directing the Cornhuskers to not only be a first half team, no points in the second half, ain't gonna cut it in the new Big Ten.
Right.
Man.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get too high.
All right. Well, I'm impressed that the city is letting themselves ride the high point. But I'm glad that my leaders in the city like you are trying to keep even keel. We need
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Be reasonable.
Yeah. That kind of is a reflection of how you do everything. So I appreciate you
Hmm.
for that. I wanted to. It's 8:51 right now. We got about 9 minutes left in the broadcast, and I wanted to try to maybe get into a thing or two. But I wanted to first of all ask you before we got into anything about the inland port, because I think that might be a conversation for another time, a little longer conversation. But was we didn't really we jumped right into it, so we didn't really ask you what's on top of your mind, like
Hmm.
what's going on with you. I know that you got the campaign going on. But we don't always know all the issues that are happening, and so what else is going on that's on top of your mind that is something that we need to be knowing about?
What else is going on? Inland port. Um, I think people should also be paying attention to OPPD
Hmm.
going on with the transition with the power plant. People should be paying attention to that.
Hmm.
What else? We finally started our meeting for this Nebraska Sentencing Reform Task Force. One
Hmm.
one thing I'm excited about, I finally convinced them to have a listening session at NSP. So, but that's not going to be until October, like the first week of October. But there will be a listening session in NSP finally. I convinced them. Well, I told them I was getting off if we couldn't do that.
Hmm.
So I convinced them to do that. So, I mean, it's some things, bro. It's just really just trying to grind this next 2 months out, try to get through the selection and just keep working, man. There's so much going on, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead
Any
and address.
any comment about Senator Chambers coming in as a write-in?
Hmm.
If you heard anything else about that?
No, I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, I guess he's fouling to be a write-in candidate. He won't be on the ballot. I'll be the only candidate on the ballot. So
Hmm.
if supporting him, they'll have to write his name in.
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, I don't got a lot of words to say, to be real. It's just It's kind of confusing, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't talked to him personally, and like the only times I've talked to him, I talked to him at the forum at the Culture House, and I saw him at the Juneteenth parade, and we briefly talked, and I think we might have took a picture or something. But besides that, I really haven't talked to him, so I don't know why or what he's thinking. Uh, so I, s- so it is what it is. I've still been out here. I've still been doing my job and trying to work for the people in North Omaha. So at
Right.
the end, I only could do my part. See, my philosophy is the same as when I was wrestling and competing. Like I only could worry about Terrell and just do my job. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So
Hmm.
I ain't I ain't too much worried about it.
Yeah,
There you go.
feel
That's
that.
not to miss them or anything. It's just how I've always approached life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control what
Any
you can control. That's about it.
any events coming up? Any rallies happening? Anything that you want to call to action for us to try to get to and spread a little?
I got a candidate meetup on the 21st at the Highlander Accelerator. I tried to invite every candidate kind of running in North Omaha. It might be a couple others, just to come out so people in the community can meet the candidates. I think it's important because I know a lot of times people don't have opportunities to meet candidates, and it's not to say I endorse any of these people or support them, or some of them I do, some of them I might not. I don't. I just saw, I looked at my most of them. I looked at my voter thing, like people who might be on my ballot, and I was like, we should do a candidate meetup because most of these people gonna be on my ballot. So I think the people in my community should be able to ask these people questions, and that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of decided to do it. Honestly, I was like, they're gonna be on my ballot. Let's have a meetup so the people in the community can come talk to them, and so
We
that's
need
kind
to we need to put together a judges meetup so we can meet these
Man,
judges that we're gonna have to vote on too.
gotta vet them.
They probably ain't gonna come, but it is what it is. All right, man. I appreciate you. We'll get into the inland port stuff another time. Anthony Rogers Wright was posing a couple questions. People seem to know that the authority will be administering up to 210 million, not 90 million. Can you break down those funds so folks know what's going on? And then the second question, he was like, revised statute 13 calls for community advisory board for two elected officials. In the case yourself and Councilwoman Johnson, aren't you concerned the lawmakers being on a community advisory committee could reduce perception of objectivity? I don't know if you
of
feel like jumping into that. Yeah.
fast. So 90 million. So for the airport business park, we got oversight of the airport business park project. There's 30 million for the creation of an innovation district, and then we had some interest funds set aside from the Perkins Canal project that they building that canal on by Colorado. You know where they set aside $600 million.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
We took the interest from that for 3 years, and then we took the interest from the prison. So that's 90. That's gonna be like 90 plus million. Um, the airport and the innovation district are already allocated for. The other 90 plus really ain't allocated for. I have to go back to the legislature. Well, no, I don't. It just has to get appropriated to. We'll transfer it over to the inland port, and then the port can grant out for projects. I know one
Mm.
thing. So that'll happen. As far as the community advisory, I thought it was important to ensure the the city council person from the district was on there. Then also, I won't be on the community advisory board. I actually qualify, but also the legislative person from 13 qualify as well because it intersects both districts, and I think it's important to have a person from 13 on there.
As
If I'm on
well.
the board, I think the person from 13 should be on the advisory board.
Mm.
Uh, no, I don't think it's. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's for the community. I think if if both elected officials go in with a community first mindset, then I don't think there'd be objectivity. Because that's how I would approach it. I would approach it as I'm not coming in just as Senator McKinney who's trying to run the show. I'm going in as Senator McKinney, working with the community in an advisory role, listening with the community,
Mm-hmm.
taking in the concerns I hear from my end as a legislator, and voicing it with the advisory board, and then voicing it to the board. So that would be my hope, and that's what I would express to either one of them, to say, approach it with a community first mindset. Don't approach it as I'm the elected official and I'm running the show, because if you do that, then it but could potentially create maybe an issue or two. But I think, I hope not.
Mm.
You can't control people. Human are human, but we also can't control every situation. But I just wanted to make sure that overall with what was going on, people didn't feel left out. Because I know at times Councilwoman Johnson felt like things were going on in her district, and she didn't at least have a voice within what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure, if anything, she was able to be at the table
Man,
as much as possible. That's why.
especially in light of some of the changes and things that have gone down in the city council, I
Yep.
could definitely see her feeling, excluded.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that there's two elected officials kind of jumps out. If there is a concern about that, let's make sure we're electing the right people, and that won't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hope that answers your questions, brother. Right. If not, we can continue that conversation another time. And don't forget to put in the show your link to your show as well. I'm sure you're going to eventually have everybody on your show too. So even
Yeah.
more discussion there. He says it makes sense, but I'm also concerned that the homeowners can be on that advisory board. But what about long time renters who are still in the community?
The
Concern.
the renters could be on too.
Mm.
As if you rent, you could be on if they applied. It
There you
didn't
go.
renters. If a renter wanted to apply, they could be on.
There you go. And speaking of that community advisory board, what was that process looking like? I know the application is open. Is it still open?
No,
Have you seen applications coming in?
the application is closed.
Okay.
We set up a 3-person committee who's supposed to give us recommendations at the next board meeting, and then we'll take a vote on who will be on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
So that's moving along. It's moving along. It's actually exciting. Definitely looking forward to see what comes out of that. Not just the airport business park, not just a Levi Carter Lake situation, but again, you said 90 million also allotted to be accounted for and appropriated. So looking forward.
Yep.
As always, man, really appreciate you coming on, taking your time out in the morning.
Yes,
And
yes.
really appreciate you. Keep us posted. Let us know when you got stuff going on in rallies and stuff that we need to get the word out on people going to. And any other time you wanna come through and have a conversation, please do. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna try to catch you right now while you're here. Like I got a little interview I want to do. Working on this documentary film on reentry program for the Metro that I'd love to get your opinion on as well. So
Okay.
I'll
Yep.
give you a call. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Right on, man. Have a good one.
All right, y'all too.
Take care.
Peace.
Peace. Right on, man. And that'll do it. We're right up to the 9:02
Yeah, right up against it.
time, right up against it. Yep. So we don't believe in the concept of time, but we believe in agreements, and we agreed that we would shut it down about 9 o'clock. So we're 2 minutes past our agreement. Sorry about that.
Man.
But we appreciate you guys hanging with us past that, and thanks for all the comments. Appreciate that very much, and I highly encourage that if you miss any parts of the show, go back and check them out in its entirety on Facebook and YouTube. Check out the comments; lots of great comments, questions, and discussions going on in the comments as well. Appreciate you guys joining us for this discussion. There's really nothing like it around for us doing this kind of live discussion with you, the audience, a couple times a week, couple hours a day. We're having some conversations. This is more conversations I have with y'all than I even have with my family sometimes about issues and things going on for sure. So just really appreciate it. RG always in here trying to make us go 3 hours.
Hold us hostage.
I love that you guys are showing your appreciation for Senator McKinney. Like Kimber says, like, you're not my senator, but you my senator.
There you
That's
go.
what's up. Yeah.
There you go.
Don't know what we'd be doing without that brother in the legislature. I tell you that.
Man.
But besides Brother Wayne, is there anybody else we would even connect with, even share? Even I don't know. So yeah, I really appreciate that for sure. And I really appreciate you as well. Let's go ahead and get out of here, buddy. Got some words for the people?
Yeah. Again, big shout out to everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube page. We are growing, so we do appreciate those who have done that. Also, subscribe to our weekly rap newsletter that's going off and going strong, man. So again, a big shout out to everybody who's been responding to that, who's been getting that. If you haven't already, if you do get that, please fill out that survey. We are trying to get more information about how to serve you better. Covering the topics that matter to you the most, and wanting to resonate with all of you and get you information that you need, that you want, that you're looking for. So again, we appreciate those who have already done that, and if you haven't, Paul just dropped the link in the chat, so go and check it out. Again, the weekly wrap comes out every Friday. A big shout out to everybody who's already subscribe to that. And then, of course, a big shout out to Senator McKinney, as again taking the time out of his busy schedule, taking a break from daddy duties to come and speak with us, and also again duties as an elected official. We really appreciate him taking the time to speak with us again. Catch him and hopefully Senator Wayne next Monday as we talk more about it, maybe even dive more into that Inland Port Authority. A big shout out also to Brother Anthony Rogers Wright, kind of reminding us on that. He says 15 people have applied for those positions, so definitely keeping a close eye on what's going on with the Inland Port Authority. But a lot of other things going on. School's still a heavy topic of discussion. More discussion to be had here on the show, so catch the same time, same place, Monday and Wednesday, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning. In the meantime, between time, Paul B.
Yo.
Take it away, man.
Man, don't let these dates slip your grasp as well.
Man,
This is the season, man. This is the season for real. It's the ballot of the bullet. Save the date. Voter registration deadline, the 18th of October. Also, absentee ballot request deadlines, October 25th. Absentee ballot return deadline, November 5th. And early voting, October 7th through November 4th. So don't let those dates slip away. They're coming up. Shout out to Ashley Spivey that is running a significant race and is doing community work on top of that and running IB Black Girl. So and helping to get out the vote. So
man,
shout out to all the work that she's doing, man. I put her in that same realm of Kimra Snipes, hardest working sisters in community work and and doing for the community. I really appreciate everybody who is supporting them as well. So shout out. Mama Guy said last week rap was interesting. Good job. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're working on it. We'll go ahead and get out of here. Really appreciate everybody who joined us. Pop says great show. See you all on Wednesday. Well, most definitely we'll have. I think we got another special guest coming in on Wednesday. We're also going to talk about some stuff that's going on with the Empowerment Network as well. Right now, they've released. They're talking about the programs that they have been partnering up with. They're moving forward with the DED, getting some DED money, and on their word, hooking up with the organizations and trying to get some loot trickled into those organizations as well. And so we're one of them. So we're going to definitely be talking to them here in the next couple of days and have something to report to you possibly on Wednesday as well. I got a meeting to go to today on that. So shout out to the work that they're doing as well. And yeah, some good partnerships going to come up this year in some big ways on how we can all align. So
excited.
Shout out to them. We'll talk about that Wednesday and special guests on Wednesday as well. Meantime, between time, thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before you. And shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Appreciate all your intelligent comments and questions and staying on track as well. Really appreciate everybody kind of like really joining the conversation today and following our lead on trying to really kind of get some answers based on the things that we're trying to lay out here. So appreciate you very much. Please go check everybody else's podcast out. Shout out to William King, 95.7 The Boss. He's got his morning show going on in the mornings as well, and all that good stuff. So really appreciate it. We'll get out of here. In the meantime, between time, peace.
Yeah, let's wrap that up. Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious. This is protected by the red